Okay, so I have put a little clear coat on the leg here. Um, and, you know, one of the benefits of that is it kind of helps settle in these colors here. It kind of melts them together because the paint that I use is actually a lacquer-based clear, and it just melts the paints together. I can't explain it other than that. It's just magic. It helps to blend them, and so that's what we have here. This is all finished up, and now we're ready to start painting the hosiery itself. Now, for this, I'm just using some inexpensive, this is Apple Barrel brand, but this is an inexpensive acrylic paint. I don't know, $2 or $3 for that. But I've thinned the heck out of it. Really, really watery here. And then I've also added a little extra alcohol to it. The alcohol is going to make it dry a little faster. So I'm going to be shooting small amounts of it here. So I wanted it to dry a little bit faster than just the normal. Now, before I go slinging paint on here, I mean, I could carefully cut this in, but what I want to do is go ahead and protect this actual skin tone that's going to be left behind here. So to do that, I am going to use, this is some Tamiya paint, or Tamiya tape, and basically I've just cut it into finer strips, and I've got a little line here for the hosiery, and this is going to be the top edge there. Already scribed into the model kit itself, so it's very easy to just follow the lines here. And I'm just going to set this in. So I just make sure the edge is burnished really well. Just using the edge of my nail for that. And this little extra bit can just wrap around, not a big deal. All right, so that gets the edge, and then what I'll do is just backfill it with just some blue painter's tape. This happens to be a 3M brand, but any of it will do. Of course, this wider tape, it doesn't bend to your will quite as easily. So that's why I use the Tamiya tape to get it to fit those contours. And then I just, like I said, just backfill with this big bulky blue tape. I do like using the painter's tape because it has a little less tack, and it has a little less possibility of actually attacking my paint finish there. So, all right, so there we go. All masked up and ready to go. So let's get to it. Right. So once again, got my airbrush here loaded up with some really, really thin, just pure black. Let's get a little test shot here. Yep. Sometimes, depending on the hosiery, pure black is not going to cut it. I think in this case it'll be fine because this is kind of a anime kind of a look. But if I was wanting to get real hosiery, you know, I want to get a more accurate rendering of it, I'd actually put a little bit of brown in here and just knock the edge off of that black a little bit. But like I said, we got kind of an anime look here, so this will be fine. Alrighty. So I'm just going to lay down a nice subtle coat here over the whole thing. I'm just kind of slowly building it up. Now, where I've got this, where her leg is bent, this fold in her skin, this is going to be a little tough because I'm trying to shoot this air in there, and it's bouncing around in there like crazy, so it's not actually getting into that corner. So that's where I have to just get a little bit closer and just shoot directly into that corner. Now the other thing here is that area should be even darker too, so getting really close and shooting more paint in there is actually going to give me that effect too. So, but I don't want it like pure black necessarily, but I want it pretty darn dark. And then I just kind of pull out from it and just kind of feather that out. Just trying to build up a nice even coat of that black, and then I'm going to go back in and start adding a little more in certain areas. Now her knee is kind of funny. In this case, I'm going to leave that knee, while there's going to be some black on it, that is probably going to be the brightest spot on here, and then maybe the top of her leg right here, because you got to think about that hosiery. It's being stretched around that knee. That's probably the greatest point, or the weakest point. That's the point where it's most stretched out. So that's going to be the lightest point in here. Then the top edge of her leg maybe a little bit too, because of the way this thing sits. That's going to be the highlight there. So, you know, I might not build up quite as much in that area in this initial pass. So I'm just, like I said, going over it in different passes here, just trying to build it up a little bit more until I'm happy with the overall look of the hose. The other benefit you get from the alcohol, making it dry so quick, is it almost has like a little pebbly surface here. Not so much a texture, but I guess maybe that is the best way to explain it, is as a texture. So that lends itself to the look that you're trying to achieve with the hosiery. So to me, I think it's great. It just works to my advantage. I'm adding a little bit more here where the bands are. Now I'm not going to go too crazy with it, but I'm just brushing a little bit more over those bands. I'm going to get more heavily into that in just a moment, but I do a little preliminary pass here because it does kind of feather out onto the leg a little bit. So there we go. So starting to come together. They're really nice. I left the knee much lighter than the rest of it, along with the top of the leg there a little bit. Somewhere here in the calf, mid calf area, I left that a little bit lighter as well. Same on this side. Just once again, the hose is stretching in that area. So down here in these lower areas, the hosiery is not going to be stretched nearly as much. So I'm going to go back in and I'm going to add more black in this area to make that a little darker. Great. All right. So next, I'm going to hit this with a little bit more of my sealer, some clear sealer to lock that in, and then we're going to go in and darken up these bands here. Okay, so we're back with the leg here, and what I did is I went ahead and masked off the lower half of the leg here because I've got this where I think it should be. It looks pretty sheer. So now I'm just going to deal with the two bands that are here at the top of the hose. So the topmost band is going to be like the thickest, so it's going to be the darkest. It's going to be almost pure black. And then this one is going to be considerably less, maybe half that. So it needs to be darker than the hose, but lighter than this piece. So we're going to go ahead and shoot the whole thing. I'm going to get it about that halfway point. I'm going to darken both of these down the same amount. And then I'm just going to run a little bit of tape around this bottom piece, and then we'll hit the final, or the top most piece with another pass of the black. So let's get that going. All right, so just going to start painting away here. Just getting this darker and darker. Ooh, a little too much there. Took that paint a little bit of time to feed in there. That's one of the other reasons why I go ahead and lock it in with clear coat, is because if you make a mistake, a little bit of water, and you can take back your mistake. Let's see here. Getting close. Like I said, I just want to darken this down, a good bit more, but I don't want it to go pure black, at least not on this middle band. Now, because this particular kit has, lines, etched into it, and those are fairly deep lines, once again, I'm getting the same effect with this airbrush. As I'm spraying it, it gets into those channels, and the air bounces around those channels and forces the paint back out. So it's hard to get paint into those channels. I'm going to try to do it with the airbrush. If not, I'm going to come back and hand paint that. But to get it in there, I'm going to just get in here really close and just spray a really fine line in there. Look. Okay, so I could go on and tape off this middle band, but I think I can control the airbrush enough to do it. So what I'm going to do now is just go ahead and do another pass with this same dark black paint, really, really thin, and I'm just going to cover this top band here because I want it almost completely black. One last pass over that topmost band just to make sure it's good and solid. Yep, it's looking pretty good. Right now, I'm going to get a little detail brush here. Get some of my paint. And this paint is like super thin because, of the airbrush. So when it comes time to brush this stuff, it's a little bit, it doesn't cover quite as well, but now what I can do is just kind of trace over those engraved areas, and you can even let capillary action kind of help you with that. I use a really fine tip for this because if I don't, I'm going to get a little too much onto the hosiery part, outside of the little engraved areas, and I really don't want that. So I think that's it. The next step is let this dry. I'm going to peel off the masks and show you the results. All right, so our paint has dried now, so let's just take a look here. I'm just going to find the tape. We'll just do a little unveiling here. There we go. Not bad. So as you can see, it's starting to come together. We've got the lighter hose, a little bit darker middle band here, and then of course the solid black. So you can get a little more differentiation between the middle band and the top band if you wanted to. I'm going to go back in and paint a little bit more over the hose area, and then I'm going to try to blend that in a little bit. So that's the really great thing about this, is that you can keep working it, building up the layers of paint there. And if you shoot it pretty transparent, you shouldn't have a problem. Now, I see that I am running into an issue with my lovely painter's tape here. There's a couple little spots that it has picked off of there, so I'll definitely have to hit those, but you get the idea. I mean, I've got this nice sheer look here, then we got this middle band, and then of course the darkest band. So that's it. The big thing here, shoot the flesh tone, whatever is going to be underneath the hose, shoot that over the entire area, and then come back over it with a very thin black wash, or this works with white hose or any other type of hose that you want to create. One other thing you might want to do is especially the shear area, but anywhere you have the hose, you may want to shoot a little overspray of a satin, not a high gloss, not even a gloss really, but kind of a satin finish, just a clear satin finish. It's going to give it a little bit of a sheen to the hose, and it makes for a nice look. So there you have it, painting hosiery. Well, thanks for watching, folks. It's been a blast showing you how I create the sheer, in this case, hosiery on our Death Becomes Her piece. I do similar effects for the sheer outfit that she's wearing. So just keep in mind that it's really simple, just a couple of steps here. Paint the entire piece, the flesh tone, whatever that's going to be, and then go back over that with a clear coat to lock that in place. Put your shadows in place as far as the darker and lighter tones. Once again, I use the same flesh tone, whatever that is, and I just darken it down or lighten it up and go whichever direction I want with that. But I get in this case, a leg or the body part looking as if it had no clothing on it whatsoever. And then I go back in, clear coat that to lock it in, and then paint your hosiery color. In this case, we used the black, but you could use any color that you wanted and get that sheer look. Just slowly build that up. If you have the bands like what I have here in the stockings here, then you can just add a little more to those as well and just build them up to whatever it is you're after. And then finally, after this, you want to clear coat it once again. Maybe use something a little bit shinier like a satin or maybe a gloss. I'd be careful with the gloss, but a satin finish would look really nice on this. Put a nice amount of sheen on it without being too much. So that's it for this time around. I appreciate you watching, and I hope you stick around and watch some of the other videos we have here on the channel. We're always trying to add new stuff, so leave a comment below with some of the things you'd like to see us do. All right, well, take care. We'll see you next time.